I just love this USC story. So let's get into it. USC gets an opportunity to upset UCLA February 13th. That is 71-60. Who thought we'd see an 11-point margin between USC and UCLA? But what are some good things that USC did? Well, they didn't just focus on being the defensive team they were getting credit for being. They were able to come out there and put up the points. More importantly, you got Watkins. I mean, she was somebody to watch. 38 points, 11 rebounds. She was the top Trojan of the night to make sure this pulled through for her team. But then we have the revenge element heading into the matchup between UCLA and USC. Now it's going to be on UCLA's home court. And regardless of Lauren Betts being their top leader and putting up points and stuff like that, they also have Kiki Rice who can help with the point production and help with defense. So what do you think of this rematch?
I think it's going to be so much fun in a way. Like, what is this? The Battle of LA?
Yes,
this is what they say. Yeah, it's an event, and it was an event the first time around. It's an event the second time. These teams don't like each other, and it's so much fun to follow along because whether you watch or not, highlights from this game will be accessible on literally whatever platform that you go to because it's hard to ignore this kind of attention. So this is going to be a lot of fun because not only does UCLA are they eyeballing that number 1 spot, but of course they want to get a little redemption here against a team that took it to them the last time. And I think the coach said it best. She said we were out toughed in fourth quarter. So they gave up 5 offensive rebounds, and she just said the ball movement, screening action had to be better to get better shots off. So when you think about fine-tuning those things, that's easy to address with your team, especially on home court advantage. But yeah, UCLA, they're going to look to charge back here. And Juju Watkins, not only the 38 points in that game, but the 8 blocks. Right. That's what a lot of people were talking about too, like the defensive side and just the way they were able to translate that into offense. They were dominant, I think, in like 3 of the 4 quarters as well. Yep. So, how much of it is home court advantage? How much of it is talent and skill? I don't know, but it's going to be a battle. I'm certainly going to tune into this one.
I love that you pointed that out because that's actually one of the first things that I looked at. I'm like, so where did the possession, the dominance come in? And it really did come in, especially opening first quarter, 24 points for USC, closing out fourth quarter, 24 points for USC. So we'll see, is that a home court thing or is that a strategy they can bring back into this, opening strong and closing strong? My only concern when it comes to USC at the moment is like you can't want or need Watkins to have a 30-plus performance every single time to pull you across the finish line, right? And the point drop-off between Watkins and the next player on that team was pretty significant. So for me, it's like, who's the next person up that's going to help Watkins solidify her game, who's going to also add to the point production? Because if not, again, on the UCLA side, you got Lauren Betts, who's going to be coming in hot with the point production, with the rebounds, but then you got Kiki Rice, who's also going to be able to contribute as well, and a number of other contributors. So my biggest thing is that USC can replicate this upset. They lead college basketball when it comes to those steals that you mentioned before, or blocks, not steals, as you mentioned beforehand. So hopefully they don't come into this trying to be overly the defensive team. Have that balance to offense and defense yet again to make it interesting. But that margin between Watkins and the next man up, or next woman up, I should say, was just a little bit too much of a drop off for me.
Yeah, and you need to have that attack mentality, especially in foreign and enemy territory, of course, because we know when the fan base is playing behind you too, that gives you a nice boost. And UCLA has the benefit here. Also, USC served them their only loss of the season, so know that they're a little pissed off here coming into this one. So yeah, I mean, you do need a few more contributors there because Juju, obviously she gains so much attention. People expect her to be the contributor for all these games, but in a game like this, you do need to be a little more well-rounded. You do need to have that attack mentality and not try to like think too defensively, because then you're going to play defensively. You need to get on the ball and break up passing lanes, whatever. And it's like we've seen like players from Kentucky do that.
Yes.
Who was it? Like Demore or something like that. She got in between the passing lane, tips the ball to herself, and then finishes the chance. And I was like, oh my God. And they're sitting at what, like 15?
It's one of those make the plays happen myself kind of thing in the moment.
Yeah. It was like the way this girl just jumped in there and did that and like owned that moment, made it her own. It was just like, you want to see plays like that happen in this game. I think you will see plays like that because, again, these two teams are going to be a little pissed off and they're going to want to get bragging rights.
I love it. I'm a big fan of that. Do you have a player to watch for this matchup?
I don't know. I mean, you think about like Kennedy Smith on USC or like a Rhea Marshall or something like that. You do want to see them kind of step up a little bit. I don't know if I have a player to watch for this one in particular. I think Juju Watkins is going to go off as always.
Right.
I do think she is.
I feel like it's going to be an unspoken thing for her to like, maybe not 38 points. I mean, if she does it again, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. But like, I think still she's going to find a way to get in the mix there. I talked about UCLA having a Kiki, but then USC, Irafen, I think that she's somebody who can help add to the point margin. To not make it such a big gap between what Watkins can do and then where the rest of her team fills in terms of points. But it's going to be wild to see. If USC can continue to disturb the peace. I feel like that also sticks with the West Coast term. Don't quote me on it, because how often I listen to that versus the Rolling Stones is very, very different. So